So here I'm back with another special cell that we have to see. In the last class we said that the special cells they have the different structure and that allow them to be to be performing a different function. So we have these specialized cells now coming and these are the gametes with us. Now what is the role of the gamete actually is because we need to see the origin of life, like how we were born. So from the male parent there would be the genetic information coming from the sperm cell and from the female parent, there would be the genetic information coming in the egg cell. So when the sperm cell and the egg cell, when they would fuse with one another, so we would make the structure out of it, and this is a zygote. And the zygote would undergo multiple mitotic division, and then we would make something out of it, and that would be entitled as an embryo. And this embryo would further advance or would further develop into the unborn baby, and this is fetus with us. So, as we are going from the level of the sperm and the egg cell to the zygote and embryo and the fetus, so we see a lot of development. By the development, what we mean is that the living organism is becoming complex. And why it becomes complex? Because at every stage of the life, this is developing organs, this is developing the outer features like the nose and the ears and the eyes and the stuff like that. And that would require the genetic information. And that genetic information, half of it has to come from the male parent, and half of it has to come from the female parent. So now we have to look on two of the keywords, and that would clear your concept more. Like in biology, we say that there are some of the cells, and these cells they are termed as the diploid cells. And we have got these gametes, and these gametes that we have, so these are the haploid cells. By the diploid cells, what we mean is that any of the cell that would contain total of 46 chromosomes in it, like 23 from the mother, 23 from the father. So these cells, they are the diploid cells. And all cells of my body, from the head to the toe, they are the diploid cells because they have complete set of genetic information or two sets of chromosome, one set from the mother, one set from the father. When we talk about the zygote, when we talk about the sperm cell and the egg cell, so they are the haploid cells. Why they are the haploid cells? Because in them the genetic information is reduced to half. It becomes 23. And if I were to be presenting half the set of the genetic information, so I would represent it with n, like one single n. If we would have to represent the full set of the genetic information, then we have to be labeling this as 2n. Now, the question is that why do the gametes they need to have half the set of the genetic information? Because for making of the human being, we require 46 chromosomes in every cell of my body. There are some exceptions in case of the red blood cell. So you see 23 must come from the father and 23 must come from the mother. And then we will retain these 46 chromosomes in the growing zygote embryo or the fetus that we are developing in the body of the female reproductive tract. Okay. So as I've said, that these gametes they are the specialized cells because they carry the instruction from the parent to the offsprings, and they would have half the set of genetic information in them, or they would have just one set of chromosomes in them. Now, as I have said, that you need to know that what difference do we have between the diploid and the haploid cells. So when we have the diploid cells, they have got two complete set of chromosomes. In the haploid, we have got half the set of the genetic information. And why this was necessary, I have told you earlier. So in the human body, we have further two type of the gametes. We have the male gamete, which would be the sperm cell. It would be produced in the testes of the male parent. We have the female gamete, and that female gamete is the egg cell, and it would be produced within the ovaries of the female reproductive tract. Now, the concern here is that here we have the female reproductive tract, we have got the ovaries, and if we go beyond the ovaries, so we have these oviducts with us, and after the oviducts, we have got this uterus with us, and immediately below the uterus, we have the cervix here, and below the cervix, we have the birth canal, or we have the vaginal canal. So the ovaries would release egg cells out of it, and the male parent is gonna come and he would deposit the sperm cells here. So the sperm cells they have to float, they have to pass through the cervix, through the uterus, and here they have to fuse with the egg cell, and that would be the fertilization. We will make the zygote, and the things would proceed on. So that indicates us that this sperm cell should be in the situation to not only carry the genetic information from the male parent, but it should also be in the position to be moving, to be floating, or to be swimming to this female gamete that we have, and this is the egg cell. Okay, guys. So overall, the function of the sperm cell would be that it has to carry the genetic information from the male parent. And if I were to show you the diagram of the sperm cell, so this sperm cell overall has got three subparts in it. We will have the head, then there is gonna be the body or the midpiece, and at the end we will have the tail in it. Now this part of the sperm that is shown right here, so this is the head. And in the head, we have got two things. Like here, we have this nucleus, and this nucleus is the haploid nucleus because this contains half the genetic information that would come from the male parent. And in the head, we have got another specialized area that is frequently asked in the exam, and this which you have got over here. So this is the acrosome. And the situation with the acrosome is that it has got some hydrolytic enzymes. And since the word is hydrolytic enzymes, so we mean as that such enzymes that would break down the complex substances into the simple ones only in the presence of the water, so they would be the hydrolytic enzymes. The situation was that I have to make sure that 23 chromosome must come from the sperm cell, 23 sperm cells, 23 chromosome must come from the egg cells, and then I'm gonna make or form the zygote, and in the zygote, the 46 chromosomes has to be retained. Now, there is gonna be a lot of problem, like if more than one sperms were able to fuse with the genetic material that we have in the egg cell. So for the egg cells, they are surrounded by a layer, and that layer is a jelly coat. Okay, and that jelly coat has to be digested. So the scenario would be that when the sperm cell has to fuse its genetic information, which is coming from the male body, with the genetic information that is there in the egg cell and it has come from the female body, so this jelly coat has to be digested. So for that purpose, this acrosome that we have, so this would release some enzymes, and these enzymes, they are the hydrolytic enzymes. When these hydrolytic enzymes are released out of the acrosome of the sperm cell, so this jelly coat would be digested. And when the jelly coat would be digested, it would become easier for us to fuse this genetic information from the male parent to be fusing with this genetic information that is denoted with small n, and it has come from the female body. So you see, we are done with the head part. That not only that it contains the half genetic information from the male parent, and we have seen that what the acrosome is actually doing. Now, as I have mentioned earlier, that this sperm cell at any cost, this has to swim. This has to flagellate toward the egg cell because the point where the egg cell is being released, this is different. And the sperm cell is lying at a different location. So it has to reach toward the sperm cell and it would need to move. So for the movement, there has to be a lot of energy being released out. So for the sperm cell, we have this body or the midpiece, and in the body or the midpiece of the sperm cell we have these cellular structures, and these are the mitochondria. These mitochondria, they would release a lot of energy out of it, and that energy would be utilized to be moving or propelling the sperm toward the egg cell. Now, at any cost, this sperm that got deposited here in the vaginal canal or the birth canal, so this has to swim forward. And if it has to swim forward, so the tail that we have in the sperm cell, so this would have a kind of the movement in it, and it would be flagellating movement, like the movement like this. And thanks to this tail or the flagellum that we have, that it would be propelling and it would be pushing the sperm in the forward direction. So this was the situation that we have got with the sperm cell. Now moving onward, I have earlier like discussed some of the things concerning the egg cell. So the role of the egg cell is that it would carry the genetic information from the female body. Okay, and if I were to show you the structure of the egg cell, so in this we have got on the outside of them, not now this is not gonna be the cell membrane, but rather on the very outside of the sperm cell or egg cell, we have got this jelly coat. And immediately below the jelly coat, this red thing that is indicated here. So this would be the cell membrane with us. And at the center, we have got this haploid nucleus that would contain the genetic information from the female body. And then at this point, we have the cytoplasm of the egg cell, and the cytoplasm would contain yolk in it. You people may eat the egg cells in the breakfast, and you would see that that yellowish part of the egg is yolk. So likewise in the female, like we again have got the yolk, and this yolk would be possessing some of the nutrients that are mandatory for the cell divisions. Because soon after this sperm cell fuses with the egg cells, so it is undergonna go mitotic divisions initially. So those mitotic divisions, they require the energy, and that energy, it comes from the yolk that we have got in the egg cell. So for the egg cell, what we need to know is that it has the haploid nucleus that carries the genetic information from the female parent. And then we have got this jelly coat. Now, for the making of the zygote, the scenario is that only one sperm that we have here, so it should be allowed to fuse with one egg cell. We can't afford another sperm cell to be entering into the egg cell, because if that would happen, the number of the chromosomes would change and we cannot make the human out of it. So soon after, one sperm cell causes the fusion of its haploid nuclei with the female nuclei. So this jelly coat would harden, and when this would harden up, so the other sperm would not be allowed to fuse its genetic material with the genetic material that we have in the egg cell, and that would allow us to be retaining the chromosome number 246. Because if this chromosome number is going to fluctuate, then this would lead to a lot of problems. So this is related to the jelly coat that we have here in the Excel. So you must know about the jelly coat in case of the Excel. You people should know about the yolk that contains a nutrient that would give the energy for the cell divisions. And also the jelly coat that would harden and would allow only one sperm cell to fuse. So here we are done with the gametes that we have got in the human body.